Hello and good evening. Good evening. Good evening. It is Tuesday. Tuesday, and we are here for Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I am Chelsea Celia Payne, also known as Cookie Payne. I am the founder of Pain and Glory Incorporated, a nonprofit organization right here in the metro Atlanta area. And I'm also the administrator of this particular group, Pain in the Pews, Mental Health and Ministry. And I'm so happy that you're joining, whether you're joining live or you're joining the replay. I am happy that you're here. I'm glad that there is something about this group, these broadcasts about this particular topic or this particular group that has your attention and is helpful to you, and that is beneficial to you, and that you can get help and information and inspiration from, and we're glad that you're here. And I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted that you're here. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to come before you every Tuesday night just to share nuggets, just to share information, resources, information, support. And so I'm glad that you are here as you're joining on live tonight, or as you are linking up to us via replay. We are happy that you are here. Tonight, you saw, or if you haven't seen, if you didn't already know, or as you see on the screen, it says self-care. Self-care. Everyone's weight is not yours to bear. Self-care. Everyone's weight is not yours to bear. I mean, that in and of itself speaks volumes, but we'll talk a little bit about what that means, self-care, and what it looks like, and how to implement that, how to make that happen. A lot of times, as people who are not just, or I shouldn't say not just, but people who are caregivers, that maybe you have a loved one or family member who is living with you, or you live with them, or you take care of them in some capacity. And then there are loved ones who you may not be their per se caregiver, but you're their go-to person. You are their you're what they would deem their support system in a sense. And then there are instances where you are kind of like the go-to person, or either you're the person that you feel like you've got to be the fixer. Every family, every group of individuals, whether it's family, whether it's a group of friends, everybody has that person in the group or in the family that is the go-to person. You even have that on jobs. You have, that one person that you can rely on who's going to kind of come in and save the day, the one that's going to come in and kind of fix everything and make everything okay. And oftentimes those are the ones that are really hurting the most and who have forgotten how, or don't even know the tools to make it happen as far as self-care. And so persons or people that they support and are there for, or provide caregiver support to, they're receiving the benefit, obviously, and as they should, because if they're the recipient of your care, they should receive the benefit. But they often don't see that they don't see the weight that they're carrying. A while back, if you guys have followed me any amount of time, you heard me talk about Mephibosheth. And this was a person from the Bible who was lame from childhood. He was lame from birth, actually. He was lame from birth. And then at the age of 5, his caregiver, his nurse who was there to protect him, she, in her haste to get away to get him to safety, to take care of him, to do what she had always done, in her haste to get him to safety, she actually dropped him, making a bad situation worse. Now, she didn't mean him any harm. She didn't mean him any to make a bad situation worse. But here this nurse was carrying this 5-year-old child, along with all the other things that it takes to carry a person that you're caring for. So whatever materials that he had, whatever baggage, supplies that he had to care for him, she had to carry that, along with whatever she had to sustain herself. So here she is carrying him and carrying the weight of everything that she had to carry, and she dropped him. And oftentimes I use that analogy because oftentimes that's what happens with us, is that we want to help our loved ones. We want to help those that are in need. We want to help those who have come to us as a go-to person. We want to, if you're the caregiver for someone who's dealing with a mental or emotional disability or issue, you want to be that person that can help them, because that's what you do. It's in your heart to do. But what happens when you're so weighed down that you drop the very person or people that you were trying to help? And that happens because you've taken on a weight that wasn't yours. You've taken on a challenge that really wasn't yours to take on. You've taken on something that it was not, as the title of this segment says, self-care. Everyone's weight isn't yours to bear. And sometimes that weight is emotional, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it is financial, and we take on these weights. We take on these things that we don't have to take on. We take them on because, well, there's several reasons. We take them for some reason. For some people, especially if it is a family member and you're the caregiver, you're the designated caregiver for that person, you feel, of course, a sense of love and compassion that you want to take care of this person. But also, there's a level of guilt. If I don't help them, who will? And so you paint yourself in a corner because you feel as though I have to help this person, because if I don't, who will? But truth be told, we humans, we cannot save everyone. We cannot save everyone. For some people, who they're looking to help them is not who is actually the one that's going to help them. But they're so used to going to the go-to person. They're used to, putting everything on their caregiver, or they're so used to this loved one or that person coming to the rescue. But it's more often than not, and we can attest to that in our own lives, more often than not, that it's more than likely, someone that they're not even paying attention to, that is the person with a life raft, while the person that they're looking to is actually in the water drowning. So I have here, I was able to find some excellent tips to help with what to do as it pertains to self-care. And I've got them here, and I'm going to read them off, because self-care, we got to take care of ourselves. We can be no help or benefit to the persons who we feel need our help, or who actually do need our help. We've got to be able to understand what that self-care piece means. And then, as the graphic I put up on the website a moment ago, on Facebook a moment ago, it gave the picture of father and son on a plane. And on planes, they instruct you, before trying to assist anyone else with their oxygen mask, you are to secure yours first. Why? Because if you don't have yours secured, you cannot be of assistance to anyone else, because you're struggling to breathe. If I'm already okay, then I can help you. If I'm already okay, I can help you. But if we're both struggling and fighting and scratching and clawing to breathe, we're doing more detriment and more harm than good. So a lot of times when we think that we're doing a great service to our loved ones and to our family members and to the people that we are deemed to be the caregiver for, a lot of times we're doing detriment more. Are we helping or are we hurting? Simply put, are we helping or are we hurting? Are we helping or are we hurting? Oftentimes, especially with caregivers, they get so overwhelmed and burned out from just the day-to-day of managing whatever it is they have to manage for the person, which in some cases they've been trained, and in most cases they haven't. And so in those instances, they're having to bear a weight that they're not equipped to handle, but because they feel the need, because, like I said a moment ago, if I don't do it, who will? And then there are ones that, and I understand that if you're the designated caregiver, then I understand that. But then there are cases where there isn't, especially when we're talking mental illness, because if we're talking pain and abuse, mental health and ministry, we're going to talk about mental health. If there's an undiagnosed illness, and by that I mean undiagnosed, I mean diagnosed by a physician, undiagnosed illness, and then you're having to try to figure things out and help, how do you help someone who hasn't begun the process of helping themselves? So now that's an added weight on you. You are the nurse in this situation who's trying to hold Mephibosheth, and in the process, you're dropping him and you're dropping everything else. And so now, as I said in a broadcast a month or so ago, in the Bible, you never hear of that nurse mentioned again. You hear about Mephibosheth. You don't hear about the nurse again. So I'm going to give you, think about that. I'm going to give you some, it says taking care of yourself. And I got this from NAMI.org. And these are excellent tools to enable you to find out how to take care of yourself. So I'm going to read off these things. It says, and this is so key, and I'm going to share with you some things that I personally have experienced. I can attest to this firsthand. So I'm going to read on here. It says, taking care of yourself. And I'm going to share this link as I do when I find things. I'm going to share this link with you guys after the broadcast. It says, to be able to care for others you love, you must first take care of yourself. It's like the advice we're given on airplanes. This is what I just said. Put on your own oxygen mask before trying to help someone else with theirs. Taking care of yourself is a valid goal on its own, and it helps you support the people you love. It says caregivers who pay attention to their own physical and emotional health are better able to handle the challenges of supporting someone with mental illness. They adapt to changes, build strong relationships, and recover from setbacks. The ups and downs in your family member's illness can have a huge impact on your improving your relationship with yourself, very key, by maintaining your physical and mental makes you more resilient, helping you weather hard times and enjoy good ones. Wow, that's positive. That's powerful. Let me go back and read that part again, just that little segment. It says the ups and downs in your family member's illness can have a huge impact on you. Improving your relationship with yourself by maintaining your physical and mental health makes you more resilient, helping you weather hard times and enjoy good ones. And it goes on to say, here's some suggestions for personalizing your health care strategy. And you've got to make that happen. You've got to make a strategy. You've got to make a plan. You've got to put a plan in place and a plan in action for your own self-care. Let me give you some examples of that. Let me click over here and give you some examples of that. Understand how stress affects you. This I can attest to personally. I know this to be true. I have experienced it, and many of you can attest to this too, because stress is major. It says stress affects your entire body, physically as well as mentally. That's powerful. Your entire body is affected. Some common physical signs of stress include, now pay attention here, headaches, low energy, upset stomach, including diarrhea, constipation, and nausea, aches, pains, and tense muscles, and insomnia. Now listen, it says begin by identifying how stress feels to you. And it goes on to explain a few more things as it pertains to stress. And again, I'm going to share this link with you so you can go over and read it for yourself. But then it goes on to talk about protect. Here's some other things that you can do for self-care. Here's the second thing. Protect your physical health. Here are some ways to do that. Exercise daily, eat well, get enough sleep, avoid alcohol and drugs, and practice relaxation exercises. Okay? Those are some helpful tips. Here's the next one. Number 3, recharge yourself. It says when you're a caregiver of someone with a condition like mental illness, it can be incredibly hard to find time for yourself. And even when you do, you may feel distracted by thinking of what you should be doing instead. There's that guilt part. But learning to make time for yourself without feeling you're neglecting others, the person with the illness, as well as the rest of your family, is critical. Please know that. Please know that. And there's more. Again, I will share this with you. Please know that. I had to read that part about recharge yourself. The next one says, practice good mental habits. This is where I wanted to get to. In this whole thing of if I don't take care of them, who will? Or, who else are they going to turn to? Or, I got to be there for them. Or whatever it is, that preconceived notion that's in your mind concerning, the person that is a part of your life that you feel the need that you need to take care of, whether you're a personal caregiver or a family member or a loved one, friend, co-worker. Listen to this. It says practice good mental habits. Here they are. Avoid guilt. I'm going to say it again. Avoid guilt. I'm not going to read the description. I'm going to save this for you so you can see it yourself. Again, the link will be in this thread. Second thing, notice the positive. Don't dwell on the negative. Don't always see what the other person or people want you to see. Look through the lens of positivity. And lastly on here, gather strength from others. Have your own support system. You're always a support system for someone else. Have your own support system. Have people that are in your corner that can support you and encourage you and be there for you and lift you up when you're feeling as though you're drained and you're overwhelmed and you've got to find a support system for you. And sometimes that support system looks like you need to step back, take your hands off of it, let them get the help that they need. Sometimes that support system looks like, let me help you, depending on the situation and the person. Maybe the person that you, especially if you're a caregiver, this is specific to you. If you're a designated caregiver, maybe that support system looks like organizations like NAMI, and people who can lend you a helping hand, people who can step in, maybe especially if you're a caregiver and the person needs support as far as someone being there with them. Then, of course, reach out to organizations that can help you with that. If you're not a designated caregiver, but you're a family member, a loved one, a coworker, friend, associate, that you feel like you are the person's parachute, then maybe you shouldn't be. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, put that doggone mask on, that oxygen mask. I'm telling you. You got to put on that oxygen mask and take care of yourself. And sometimes that means stepping back. Sometimes that means you got to step back from the situation because you're too close to it. You're way too close to it. And the people or persons that can help this person who's going through whatever they're going through, whether it's emotional, mental, financial, whatever they're going through, maybe your position is to stand back, pray for them, encourage them from afar, and let them get the help that they need that is up close for them, that they're overlooking because they're always looking to you. They're always coming to you. You always fix it. You always make things right. You're always there. You're always always a safety net. You're always the fall through person. You're always the follow through person. You're always the shoulder to lean on. You're always the person to call. You're always the one with the money. You're always the one who will always be there no matter what. Even if I'm cutting up and acting up, you'll always forgive me. And then you become like the nurse that we talked about with Mephibosheth. She meant no harm, but in trying to carry him, his weight, his things, his all his condition, and carry hers, something had to drop. Something had to drop. And it made a bad situation worse. So I encourage you with everything in me. Take the tips that I just shared with you. Take them to heart. Use them. Utilize them. I'm telling you. Because who's going to be there? Who's going to be the caregiver for you? Yes, a great support system is imperative. Because listen, if you are always the go-to person, if you're always the one that's always the support, if you're always the one that's bearing the weight that may not necessarily be yours to carry, when you drop it, who's going to be there for you? So I encourage you on this night, I encourage you, step back, do a self-assessment, and take care of self. There is nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. The airplane, the people at the airlines got it right. You gotta take care of you gotta put your oxygen mask on first before you can help anybody. Because if we both perish trying to make sure somebody else is taken care of, it's a tragedy. But if I can secure my mask, make sure I'm okay, and we all get through this together, safe and sound, that is a blessing. No tragedy there. And it's not selfish. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not selfish. So I wanted to leave you with that information. As I said, this information that I shared with you on tonight, I'm going to put it in the thread on tonight so that you can go back and look at it, save it, keep it, share it with people. I'm telling you, we don't need to harbor any guilt. Let me go back to it. We don't need to harbor any guilt for people will try to make you feel guilty if you are not who they want you to be when they want you to be at all times, as if your life is not continuing on. So avoid the guilt, notice the positive, and gather strength from others. Having that support system, as Minister Linda said a moment ago, is imperative. So I want to leave you with that information. Listen, I love you with the love of Christ. My name is Chelsea Payne. Hey, Sister Monica. I am the founder of Pain and Glory Incorporated and the administrator of this particular group, Pain in the Pews Mental Health and Ministry. Listen, I am glad that you guys joined in. If you missed any of it, the replay will be up in just a moment. I want you to catch it. The replay is not very long. It's a little over 20 minutes long. It's not very long, but I promise you want it, especially if there are people around you who you know you are either their caregiver, whether that's the title you've been given or not, or you are always the go-to person and you just need to step back and realize this is a weight I don't necessarily need to carry. And you know it. No one has to tell you. You don't have to wonder, I wonder if this is one of the things she was talking about. You know, when you go through the inventory of your mind, and that very thing that very person that comes up in your mind, and you automatically feel that stress building up. Ding, 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 ding. Step back, take a self-assessment, do some self-care. And as I said, the link is going to be in this particular thread when we log out. Again, I thank you guys for joining. Have a blessed evening. Before we go, I want to let you know, I thank you guys who are joining live, and I thank you guys who are watching the replay, who will watch the replay. Listen, coming up, we will be hosting our first Chat and Chew of the year on March the 10th. You do not want to miss this. I'm telling you, don't want to miss it. We're going to be talking about our elders. Anyone, if you have you or your loved ones are 65 years and older, a lot of times we don't think about our elders and mental health. And what sometimes we attribute to just getting older is really not a part of getting older. Some of the things that some of the signs and symptoms that we never even thought of or attributed to our elders as pertains to depression, what we think is just them getting older, that's just how older people behave. Not necessarily so. So you don't want to miss this. We'll be joined by M. Bailey Brooks. She is a dynamic psychotherapist, and her specialty is working with elders. And she'll also be talking about, for women, all of our ladies, you don't want to miss her, because we're going to have a 2-part segment. The second part is going to be dealing with women and you don't want to miss her. You do not want to miss her. That's going to be March the 10th. You'll see more about that soon. For those who had not heard, on next month we're going to be doing, hey Nellie, next month we're going to be doing our annual What's a Girl to Do event, and that's for young ladies from teenage years all the way up to 24 years old. We actually are already filled, and the wait list is open. So if anyone is interested or has a daughter or a young lady in their life who's not 14, teenage years to 24, it is absolutely free to attend, but registration is required. And hey, I'm doing well, Miss Nellie. I'm doing well. So, and that's right here on Facebook. Is What's a Girl to Do. You can look it up in the events, or go to our Pain and Glory page, and you will see it there. We got a lot of great things coming up, and I want you all to be a part of it. And so on next Tuesday, we'll be right back here. Listen, the week before last week we did a segment about depression and anxiety among children and young adult and children and teenagers. And we were having broadcast issues, and so you'll see that broadcast, but we're actually going to be doing a part 2, and that'll be next Tuesday night. We'll have Aisha Montgomery back with us again, and I'm telling you, that's one you don't want to miss. That's going to be next Tuesday, part 2 of depression and anxiety among children and teens. So you don't want to miss that. I love you guys. Don't forget to watch the replay. And again, the link that I referenced in this broadcast will be in the thread below. You ladies have a wonderful evening. I love you so much. Don't forget to watch the replay. Love you much, and I'll speak to you soon.